name's Ike Curran. I was 27 years in the armed services, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but I got injured. When I left the services, I really couldn't see myself with my injury actually working for anybody, so my wife and I sold up. We sold a house and we bought a boat and we legged it over to the Mediterranean. As a diver, as a salvage diver, a professional diver, I could work underwater. So I qualified myself as a boat skipper, and that's where we stayed for 10 years doing salvage and charter work. Then further illness forced us to actually sell the boat and we moved back to the UK. Suddenly, after all those years of actually being busy, I found myself now with a heart condition as well as my spinal injury and the limitations that kind of places on you, desperate to do something. And I turned to making little stools and little tables and things like that, a little 6 foot by 4 foot shed. And being a little bit tight-fisted, I couldn't bear to throw the offcuts away. And I went down the local tool shop and said, look, I've got a rubbish bin full of little offcuts. And he said, well, there's a lathe here. And I thought, that's brilliant. He described it. I had no idea what to do, but he described it to me, and it was only 50 quid, so that was good news. And I started to wood turn and suddenly discovered something that I could do sitting down. So now I could sit in front of a lathe with revolving wood and point tools at wood travelling at high speed, which is a lot better than trying to move the tool itself. And now, I've gone from that 50-pound lathe slowly over the past 12 years to this lathe that I'm working on here, which is a 6,000-pound lathe, and I haven't even got all of it. So that brings me up to the present. After coming up to Scotland, mainly due to my health, because I was going through a really bad patch and my wife's family are up here, I slowly built the workshop up, not to where it is now, but certainly it was a workshop to die for most guys. And I realised that I had something that I could share, and I wanted to outreach a bit. Initially to wheelchair users, and no more than kind of that. I wanted to reach out to wheelchair users. So I started Wheelchair Woodturners. I very quickly discovered that although you can appeal to people, it's a bit like a horse. You can take it to water, but you can't force it to drink. So I kind of discovered that a lot of people weren't really interested, who were in a wheelchair, in doing kind of very much really. So it was a struggle. So I opened the whole kind of organisation up to those less than able. And in fact, that's kicked it off. I've had a few wheelchair users in the workshop, and we are geared for it. But in the main, it's those less than able that are the main body of people who actually use wheelchair wood turners. And what they do, I've got 5 lathes now in the workshop, as well as all the necessary equipment that goes with those lathes, like big saws, little saws, drill presses, various bits and pieces. I can get them in here. I can teach them how to wood turn, the basic wood turning. After that, really, it's up to people to teach themselves the rest. We also help people set up their own workshops, which is really what my aim is. So, that's kind of where we are with Wheelchair Woodturners. We've got about 35 members. They'll drift in, they'll drift out. They always come to me for wood because they know I have a constant supply from various places. I have a couple of wood ninjas who go out and collect any wood that's at the side of the road. So, wood's expensive. Often people do ask the question, what inspires you with wood, and how do you come up with the wood shapes that you've got? And people also ask that, does wood speak to you? No. I've met a few people who say, oh, I see a dragon in this piece of wood, or I see a boat in this, but I don't see anything in a piece of wood but a piece of wood. I am, and have been all my life, a problem solver. It was my job in the army. I was the guy, the go-to guy. Yeah, the guy, if anything needed sorting out, I was the go-to guy. All the way through my career, I've been the go-to guy. So I'm a problem solver. So I kind of view a piece of wood as a problem. Yeah, how do I get something that I like out of the lump of wood that's in front of me? And I'm the awkward guy. I look for the pieces of wood that nobody else wants, the rubbish, but it's not. To me, all of the twists and turns in wood and the fault lines and the things that most woodworkers don't want, I seek. Because I think that there is something you can make out of most bits of wood. I don't get inspiration as such. I tend to sit in front of a piece of wood and I kind of have a general idea. I've looked at the piece of wood, I have a general idea of kind of what type of thing I want to make. I start spinning the wood up and I start basically cutting the wood, and I suppose that's when I can see, what kind of shape I can make the wood look good from. It's solving the problem of turning the wood from a piece of the tree into a piece of treen that somebody might use. And treen is wood that is useful, whether you use it as a decorative reason or whether you put fruit in it or whatever. Someone once tried to insult me by saying, you're just a treen maker. And I took it as the greatest compliment that somebody could give me, because, and I thought, that's exactly what I am. I make treen. I make stuff that people find useful. So if I see anything in a piece of wood, I see something that can be used.